All right. So today's lesson is over factoring trinomials, just like we did yesterday. So you're kind of thinking of that same game. What two numbers can I multiply together to get this that I add together equal this? So yesterday while we were doing that, I said to you a couple of times, where are those two numbers coming from? So I'm going to give you an example. If I had x squared plus 5x plus 6, and I said, what two numbers can I multiply together to get 6 that when I add together equal 5? Hopefully you would say to me, oh, well, that's 3 and 2. And yesterday I said, where are those numbers coming from? And you knew that the number that I was multiplying to get to was the number on the end. It's c in the terms of ax squared plus bx equals c. And then the addition was this number. But what I want to remind you was that yesterday, remember I said our leading coefficient is 1 because we didn't have any number attached to the x. So our trinomial is written in this form: ax squared plus bx plus c. So really, when I was asking you to give me some number that you can multiply, what two numbers can you multiply together that add up to something else? What we were really doing was taking a, which was 1 yesterday, times c. So our times chart came from a times c, and it had to add up to b. So that's what we're going to do today. So today, when we factor our trinomials, that leading coefficient, that number attached to the x, is not going to be a 1. For example, we have 6x squared plus 19x plus 10. So in terms of my times plus chart, instead of having a 1 in front of the x squared, I now have a 6. So what can I multiply together to get, let's see, a times c, or 6 times 10 is 60, that when I add, I get the number 19. So I just want to show you again that, remember, a trinomial is written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. A, b, and c are just integers. They're just think about when we put things in standard form. They're just coefficients. A and b are just coefficients attached to the variables. So we're going to take the a, the coefficient attached to x squared, and we're going to multiply it by c, the constant, okay? And then it needs to add up to the coefficient b. So a times c, which is 60, has to equal 19. Well, that is going to be 15 times 4. So 15 times 4 is 60, and 15 plus 4 is 19. So we're going to rewrite it as a grouping: 6x squared plus 4x plus 15x plus 10, because the two terms that we use added together equal 19. And then we're going to use the grouping method that we learned when we first started factoring. The day that we learned how to factor, we used grouping. And we're going to figure out what the common term is. So the common term between 6x and 4x is 2x. So that means I'm going to take a 2x out. I have to divide each one of these by 2x. 6x squared divided by 2x leaves me with a 3x. 4x divided by 2x leaves me with a 2. And then over here, my common term between 15x and 10 is 5. So I'm going to divide both of these by 5. 15x divided by 5 is 3x. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So remember with this, we need to have a repeated binomial in the middle. That becomes our first binomial, 3x plus 2. And then you take what's left over and make that your second binomial, 2x plus 5. Okay, so we are going to do just that. So each time we set these up, we're going to first start with a times plus chart, just like we did yesterday. So what two numbers can I multiply together? So let's see, a times c, 3, adds up to 4. So what two numbers can I multiply together to get 3 that when I add them, I get 4? Well, that's going to be 3 and 1. So I'm going to rewrite my trinomial as a polynomial, and I'm going to replace the positive 4x with a plus 3x plus 1x. So it looks like this. 3x squared plus 3x plus 1x plus 1. So all I did was rewrite this. And instead of using a 4x, I broke it down into a 3x plus 1. I could combine those terms and rewrite it as a 4x. I just don't want to do that because I want to factor them, right? So I need to have 4 terms so I can group it. So the greatest common factor between 3x squared and 3x is a 3x. I'm taking out a 3x. So when I divide each term by 3x, I have x plus 1. When I look at my second grouping, I see that my common term is 1, and that leaves me with x plus 1. So again, the repeated binomial is your first factor, x plus 1, times the binomial that you create is what's left over, times the quantity 3x plus 1. All right, let's do it again. My times plus chart. A times C, 21 times 2 is 42, adds to a negative 13. All right, let's see. 42, that would be 6 times 7, and a negative 6 times a negative 7 also gives me a positive 32, and those add up to negative 13. So 21x squared, and you can either put the negative 6x first, or you can put the negative 7. Think about what's going to group with together well. So I know that 6 and 21 have a common factor of 3, and like they're both divisible by 3, and 21 and 7 are both divisible by 7. So I'm going to actually put the 7 with it just so I can get rid of divide everything by 7 first. So when I do my groupings, so what can I take out of this first one? Well, let's see. I said they have a common factor of 7. They really have a common factor of 7x, right? So 7x times the quantity 21x squared divided by 7x is 3x. 7x divided by 7x is 1. I'm going to take out a negative 2, a negative 2. Negative 6x divided by a negative 2 gives me a positive 3x. Positive 2 divided by negative 2 gives me a negative 1. So my repeated term, my repeated binomial, 3x minus 1 times the quantity of what's left over, 7x minus 2. All right, let's do it again. A times C has to add up to B. A times C, negative 24, has to add up to B, 5. Well, let's see. 6 and 4, that's not going to work. 2 and 12, that's not going to work. What about 8 and 3? So since 5 is positive, my smaller number, 3, has to be negative. So positive 8, negative 3. So we're going to rewrite this as 2x squared plus 8x minus 3x minus 12. Again, remember, I'm replacing the positive 5x with a positive 8x and a minus 3 because these add together to equal that. I only do that so I can group them. Common factor, 2x, 2x. So 2x squared divided by 2x leaves me with an x. 8x plus 2x, or divided by 2x, sorry, leaves me with a 4. I'm going to take out a negative 3. So I didn't write the x there. Take out a negative 3. That leaves me with an x plus 4. My repeated factor, x plus 4, times the quantity 2x minus 3. All right, let's try it again. Times plus. Whoops, I need to move that over here. Times plus. What two numbers, a times c, multiply together to equal negative 10, add together to equal 3? That looks like a 5 and a negative 2. 2x squared plus 5x minus 2x minus 5. So my first term, I can take out an x. That leaves me with 2x plus 5. In my second term, I'm going to divide them both by negative 1. When I take out a negative 1, that leaves me with 2x plus 5. So my factors are 2x plus 5 times the quantity x minus 1. So I want you to pause your video. I want you to pause your video and I want you to think about setting up your times plus chart. What two numbers, a times c, can you multiply together to equal a negative 8, that when you add them, you get a negative 7? And then I want you to factor by grouping. Pause your video, do that, and then come back and check. So hopefully when you came back, you saw that your answer is the binomial x minus 2 times 4x plus 1. All right, let's look at our next one. What two numbers am I going to multiply together? 8 times negative 13. 8 times negative 13 is negative 104, that when I add together equal 22. So this one might require us to do a little bit of calculating. Let's see. So 104, that's the same thing as 2 and 52. It's divisible by 4. That's 4 and 26. I think that's going to be our numbers that we use. So let's make our 4 negative. So 8x squared minus 4x plus 26x minus 13. We're going to factor this by grouping. My husband is making breakfast. I know it's really loud. I apologize. So let's see. Divide these both by 4x. I get x minus 1. Divide both sides here by I get a 2x, sorry. 8x squared divided by 4x is 2x. Divide both over here by 13. I have a common factor of 13, and that also leaves me with a 2x minus 1. So this trinomial factors out to be 2x minus 1 times the quantity 4x plus 13. Again, how can you check your answers? You're not real sure if you're doing this right. How can you check? Check by foiling. Check by foiling. So homework, you're definitely going to want a separate piece of paper. I was not able to work these out. I would absolutely set up a times plus chart for each one of these. Make sure that you write your little times plus chart just like we've been doing. Notice that these are kind of grouped together. These are kind of grouped together. So the first four look the same. The second grouping of four kind of look the same. Hopefully you're going to recognize a pattern, but your homework due on Monday, questions 1 through 22.